Greetings to all you fine folks associated with Con-Ark Builders. 1999. Gosh, it's hard to believe that over 37 years ago, Con-Ark Builders was created. It's exciting for me to see the growth of Con-Ark Builders and how it spread across the state of Arkansas and also into Tulsa and Springfield. I want to tip my hat to the managers and associates of Con-Ark Builders who have achieved on a regular basis the objective of performing top quality work while returning a healthy profit to the shareholders of the corporation. Those goals and objectives have not changed since 1962. You may have wondered, why start another construction company when Nabholz Construction Company was a 13-year-old general contracting firm doing approximately $10 million worth of work. Back then, that was probably the equivalent of $100 million in today's figures.
The need for another construction entity began to emerge during the late 50s and 60s. At that time, all the larger contracting firms had contract agreements with various trade unions, and as a result, many of the Nabholz Construction Company projects began to suffer from threats of strikes and work stoppages. Productivity was in a state of decline. All the construction apprentice training programs were controlled by the trade unions. Even the common laborers were represented by the union. All hiring, particularly on out-of-town projects, came from the union halls, and therefore the workers were more loyal to the union business agent than they were to the construction firms who paid their wages. My brother Bob, founder of the Nabholz Construction Corporation, anticipated that union labor disputes would probably get worse and suggested that I start up a new company on my own with the idea that I would build an organization in which everyone associated would become an integral part of the company with one common goal of building projects in the most efficient manner possible without sacrificing quality. I grew up on a farm, and my parents made a living raising their 12 kids by working together as a team, with everyone becoming cross-trained to perform all the farm chores such as milking cows, chopping and picking cotton, making hay, butchering hogs, and cutting wood, just to name a few.
Can you imagine how unsuccessful a farmer would be if his family was not cross-trained to do all the chores necessary to make a living on the farm? Well, those farm lessons of teamwork set the standard that we used in the production of Con-Ark projects in its early existence. Most individuals had their specialties, such as carpenter work. However, they could also finish concrete, erect steel, tie rebar, operate construction equipment, and oh yes, clean up around the job site if necessary. Over the years, Con-Ark crews have become more specialized. However, there are still no restrictions on what tasks a Con-Ark employee can do on the job site. Now, back to the beginning of how Con-Ark was started.
The plan was for me to do it alone, make a clean break from NCC, and if the new venture was successful, I would agree to reorganize the company with my brothers Bob, Ed, and Tom. And if the company failed, I could return to Nabholz Supply Company, where I had been managing the new home and remodeling division, and just pick up where I had left off. I went out and borrowed $2,000 from my dad and mortgaged my 1959 wide-track Pontiac and set up a line of credit with various suppliers and chose the name Con-Ark Builders. I leased the Tyler Millwork Shop, located on the Old Morrilton Highway north of Conway, and hired an ex-deputy sheriff as my superintendent who had very little construction experience but was good with people skills. We hired a couple of carpenters to run the mill shop, and I soon found myself knee-deep in sawdust. My office was located in the corner of the shop. Sometimes I'd have to ask the mill shop to shut off the saws and stop hammering because I had a customer visiting me in my office, and the noise was disturbing our conversation. During that first year, we acquired a state contractor's license and was awarded a contract to build a medical clinic for Dr. Robert Taylor, based on our low bid of $62,000. It was my first bid job as Con-Ark, and Bernard Pfeiffer was the superintendent. It was also his first commercial project to supervise. He did a fantastic job, and he went from the Taylor Building to the Gordy Sneed Medical Clinic on Locust Street. That contract was for around $75,000. Also during that first year, we built some miscellaneous projects associated with the Titan Missile Base project located in central Arkansas. Con-Ark was a contractor for the temporary office facilities used by the missile base contractors, and I would camp out at their headquarters located near the Conway Airport. I made Con-Ark available for any project, no matter how small. I remember one of the missile-based contractors calling me on a Saturday afternoon and asked if I could find a special type of metal screw they were having difficulty finding. I went to Massey Hardware in Conway and found the product he needed and delivered it to him. He was quite impressed that I would take off on a Saturday afternoon and personally assist him with such a small item.
This type of service led to a larger negotiated contract with the same contractor who remembered the prompt and personal service that I gave him when he first came to town.
After a few hail and windstorms mixed in with medical clinics plus the missile-based work, the first year ended with a good profit. I paid off the $2,000 loan to my dad and found myself back in partnership with my brothers Bob, Tom, and Ed as per our initial agreement. During the second year, Con-Ark moved to a larger facility on Merriman Street, and we increased our staff to do larger commercial work. Over the next several years, we built water treatment plants located in Conway, Arkadelphia, Batesville, Manila, and Lepanto. We took on the MESCO line of pre-engineered steel buildings located in Grapevine, Texas, and constructed industrial, manufacturing, and commercial buildings all over Arkansas. Varco, a pre-engineered steel building manufacturing plant located in Pine Bluff, had a dealership for the state of Arkansas set up with a Little Rock contractor. When Varco realized that Con-Ark Builders was becoming a big player in the pre-engineered metal building business, they agreed to sell us steel, and we later became the Varco Prudent dealer for Arkansas. Dale Livingston came to work for Con-Ark in 1963 as a steel building erector. He literally learned the erection business from the ground up, and after supervising the erection of hundreds of steel buildings, now serves as General Superintendent for Con-Ark Conway. His 37 years of experience is a valuable resource for problem solving related to steel buildings company-wide. In addition to pre-engineered steel buildings, Con-Ark built federally subsidized residential housing projects in Paris, DeQueen, Foreman, Camden, and Forest City, and automobile dealerships in Conway, North Little Rock, Pine Bluff, Monticello, Malvern, and Hot Springs. Other significant projects built by Con-Ark were the Ozark Folk Culture Center in Mountain View, Whirlpool and Owatonna tool plants in Searcy, and a new high school in Bentonville. Con-Ark projects were literally scattered out all over the state of Arkansas. In 1967, Con-Ark and Nabholz merged together under one roof and operated as sister companies. During the next 10 years, Con-Ark, performing under the merit shop concept, saw its volume increase steadily each year. Con-Ark began a bricklaying and carpentry apprenticeship training program in 1972 and became the first contractor-sponsored apprenticeship training program to be approved by the U.S. Department of Labor in Arkansas, and one of the very few approved nationally. Con-Ark's in-house training program became an increasing source for manpower as each year passed. For various reasons, we eventually dropped the masonry program, but as most of you know, the carpentry apprenticeship program has been very, very successful for our company.
In 1976, Nabholz Construction Company ceased its bargaining with the unions and did not sign any more union contracts. At that time, they began to perform work on a merit shop basis, the same as Con-Ark Builders had been doing all along. Con-Ark and Nabholz agreed to pursue different types of projects, with Nabholz Construction Company doing healthcare and institutional work, while Con-Ark Builders pursued commercial and industrial work.
In 1976, Nabholz Construction was awarded a contract for a $5 million addition to Baptist Memorial Hospital in North Little Rock. It was the first major project to be done by Nabholz Construction as a merit shop contractor. The unions had given up on Con-Ark, but they were not going to let a Nabholz Construction Company job go non-union without a fight. Union pickets were set up for about 3 months, but work continued without a single delay. The two-gate system authorized by Congress was very effective on this project and others during the transition from union shop to merit shop. The two-gate system took the pressure off the industrial and manufacturing firms who used outside construction services because they no longer had to worry about the threat of a picket line shutting down their plant. Typically, the two-gate system worked like this. Let's say a unionized manufacturing plant decided to make an addition to their plant and wanted to use a merit shop contractor like Con-Ark Builders. 2 job site entrance gates would be erected. One gate would be reserved for Con-Ark Builders, its subcontractors and suppliers, and the other gate would be reserved for employees of the manufacturing plant and its suppliers. If the union decided to put up a picket line on the job site, they had to picket the Con-Ark gate only, therefore allowing operation of the plant to be unaffected by the picket line. There were two pressing reasons why unionized plants would seek merit shop contractors to do their work. One reason was that construction costs from union contractors was getting out of hand. And the second reason was that if a union contractor had a labor dispute on their project, it would not only slow down the construction schedule, but quite often the company's employees would walk out in sympathy with the union construction counterparts.
Gradually over time, large users of construction services began to use merit shop contractors because merit shop contractors could guarantee that there would be no work stoppage due to union disputes. This change did not take place without pockets of violence erupting on our job sites from time to time. On a job site in Little Rock, I think it was a Timex manufacturing plant, one of our job site trailers burned down the very first day it was delivered to the site. Several years later, we found out from an anonymous phone call that this trailer was burned down by a disgruntled union worker who knew we were a merit shop contractor. Con-Ark and Nabholz Construction Company continued to operate as sister companies until 1984. In 1984, Con-Ark Builders became a land development company and sold its construction assets to Nabholz Construction Company. The Con-Ark Builders name was retained and is now operating as a division of Nabholz Construction Corporation.
I served as president of Con-Ark Builders from 1962 until the summer of 1979, when Lonnie Williams was promoted to that position. In 1992, Lonnie moved to the marketing department of Nabholz Construction, and Terry Jones, a Con-Ark project manager, was promoted to head up the Con-Ark division. When Terry resigned in 1994, Lonnie returned to Con-Ark and presently manages the Conway division of Con-Ark.
Thanks to all of you, Con-Ark Builders has become a very important profit center in each of Nabholz Construction Company's 5 divisions. Under the guidance of Lonnie Williams in Conway, Philip Joyner in Little Rock, Quentin Hilburn in Rogers, Keith Boulware in Tulsa, and Tyler Crabtree in Springfield.
Since 1984, when Con-Ark became a division of Nabholz Construction Corporation, its core business has been centered around the use of pre-engineered steel buildings. Con-Ark in 1998 purchased 4,657 tons of steel and was ranked number 14 in the nation in the amount of steel purchased for metal building projects.
I can't tell you how much pride it gives me to hear and read about the many successes that you have each year as managers and associates of Con-Ark Builders. It's great to know that you have regular conferences to get together and talk to each other to figure out ways to improve the quality and efficiency of our job sites. Although the Con-Ark wheel was invented over 37 years ago, I'm sure that under the guidance and leadership of all of you here today, that you're going to make that wheel run faster and straighter right into the 21st century. I appreciate very much you asking me to be on your program and to share with you some of the history of Con-Ark Builders. I especially want to thank you for the tremendous performance you have made and the contribution you have made towards the corporation as managers and associates of Con-Ark Builders. It gives me a great thrill to know that a company that I'd started 38 years ago continues to be successful year in and year out, and I owe that debt to you, the managers and associates of Con-Ark Builders. In closing, I hope all of you have continued success, not only as managers and associates of Con-Ark Builders, but in your personal lives as well. Again, thanks for allowing me to share with you a little bit of history of Con-Ark Builders.